you chose Terrence to win coming into that fight?
I don't make predictions. Terrence is my friend. You know what I'm saying? He's a very good friend of mine. And I just think nobody can beat Terrence. That's all. That's how I felt. I've always felt like nobody could beat Terrence.
Okay. What do you think is next for Terrence? Because he's clearly stated that he doesn't want to fight Boots. Canelo clearly stated he doesn't want to fight Terrence. So besides the possible rematch, which I personally don't think it's necessary, but I know there's obligations and rematch clauses and all that. But what would be a fight for Crawford next?
Well, because Canelo said he doesn't want to fight him, that's not the end of that.
Right.
That's one thing we know for sure. That's not the end of that. Canelo can be talked into anything because he has bravado. You know what I'm saying? And if the people ask for it enough, trust me, Canelo will do it. You know what I mean? And if he feels the thing about Canelo though, he just loves challenges. So if in his mind it doesn't feel like a big enough challenge, then he won't do it. I know everybody's talking about Benavidez, but everybody's talking about Benavidez when Benavidez at the time didn't fight anyone at all until he fought Plant, you know. And at the end of the day, Canelo was looking at him like, you know, he's too young. He's not ready yet. You know what I'm saying? But meanwhile, everybody's like, oh, you're running from Benavidez, and no one understood that he just wants a better challenge in his mind. Now, maybe he might have been wrong. Maybe Benavidez will give him a very good fight. Maybe, who knows? But in his mind, that's what he was thinking. Like, I done had personal talks with him, and he's like, nah, the kid's not ready. You know what I'm saying? He's too young. You know, and he's Mexican. He don't want to make him look bad. You know, that young. He feels like he wants a good challenge. So if somebody can convince Canelo that that's a good challenge, fighting Bud, then he'll fight him. You know, but as far as what's next for Bud, I feel like, of course, we got to see the rematch if Spence wants to fight again at 154 or whatever they decide. Cool. We'll see the rematch, you know. If whatever's on paper got to happen. But I think I'd like to see Bud fight Charlo. You know what I'm saying? So
okay.
I like to see Bud fight Charlo and Canelo. You know, either one.
Well, let me ask you this: what were your impressions of Charlo Canelo fight?
I didn't have any. There was nothing really to gather from that fight. You know, that wasn't the Charlo we were used to seeing, and not because of any other reason, but he was fighting Canelo.
Right. I mean, do you agree? And I don't agree with this narrative, but the narrative that he didn't really want to try and was in there for the payday and all that. I mean, do you agree with that narrative?
I agree. He was in there for the payday. Of course, he'd be in there for the payday. But I think he really wanted to try. I think he really wanted to try. I think at the end of the day, he convinced himself, whether I win or lose, I'm getting that great payday. But I want to go in there and I want to win and I want to shock the world and I want to be the greatest. And every fighter should think like that. And I think Jamel is one of those guys who thinks like that.
Right. I mean, what I saw was a couple of those missiles went by him and he was like, fuck this. Like, you know, he got cautious. But, you know, there's a size difference and there's a huge experience difference. So I understood it, but there was a lot of criticism on Charlo for that.
I don't think there was a size difference. I think there was just a power difference. Canelo's not big.
Not tall, frame-wise.
No, not even that. Like he's not even wide. You know, he's not like a Jared Hurd who has like really wide shoulders. Jamal Charlo who has like really wide shoulders. He's not like, he's a little guy. He doesn't even have big arms.
You're right. I was at the press conference.
He's not a big guy. He's not the guy that we could say he's short, but he's stocky. No, he just put on weight. That's all. He put on weight. He don't look right. He don't have round muscles like me. I stand next to that guy and make him look like a little kid.
Yeah, no.
You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have round, big muscles. Right. He doesn't have them. He's flat.
You're right.
You know, his shoulders are not small, but he doesn't have a huge back. Right. You know, I don't know. But he's used to fighting at 168 now, and he has an amazing chin. But he happens to hit hard. I've held the pads for him. He hits abnormally hard. You know, like Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder could knock you out at 211 pounds.
Yeah.
And drop Tyson twice in their first fight. fighting at 211, maybe 209 the night of the fight. Like, come on. Some people just have power. You don't have to be big. So this facade of saying Canelo is big, he's very, very small. He's smaller than every 154 pounder except Castagna. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I saw them.
Think about all the 154 pounders. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Charlo's bigger than him. Hurd used to be 154, bigger than him. All of these guys, like Lubin, all of those guys are bigger than Canelo. Like,
Yeah.
And people act like height don't play a difference. What the? Imagine if Mike Tyson was 6'6".
Yeah.
You think height don't play a difference? Of course, height matters when you're fighting another great fighter.
Yeah.
Height makes sense. If you're a certain height, then you putting on weight is not even good because your body frame and your height can't take that weight.
Right.
So Canelo trying to go up to 175 and 168 is too big for Canelo. Like he just happens to punch hard enough and be skillful enough to beat these guys. That's it. But usually a great 168 should beat a guy that small.
Right. I mean, I was next to them at the press conference too, and I see what you're saying. They didn't look that different. Like Charlo was taller, but frame-wise, yeah, Canelo didn't look.
Charlo's this is why. Yeah.
Right, but I guess the fact that Canelo's just been consistently fighting 15 pounds heavier gives the impression that he's a bigger guy.
That's it. That's all it is. Like, we're used to seeing Canelo bigger. We're used to seeing Charlo smaller. That's it. And that experience also plays out in the ring too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be bigger to have the experience of getting hit by bigger guys, of hitting guys and knowing that your power translates against bigger guys. Because look at Callum Smith. He beat Callum Smith up. And Callum Smith is huge. And he's fighting at 175, knocking guys out.
Yeah.
You know, so and he's a big guy. He could probably go to cruiserweight.
Right. Well, that's why the Bud fight would be so interesting, because could Bud carry all his skills into that kind of a weight division? You know?
Right. That would be great to know. Bud is a super athletic. Bud just has everything. He really has. It's like this. Some guys have power. Like, people were saying that Spence was the hardest puncher in the division, while I was saying Bud was the hardest puncher in the division. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Bud is the kind of guy that doesn't need to sit down on his punches to knock you out. Yeah. That's special. Bro. That's special.
One thing I know
about to punch properly. If I don't have to punch properly to hurt you, then I have special power.
One thing I noticed about Bud, he throws such short, crisp shots.
Yes.
And that's where that power lies, man. You know what I mean? Like really, really special. And his, the way he sets traps, to me, that's what stood out the most. I saw all the traps he set against Errol, because those punches just didn't land by divine, and like he set those up and did it well.
He did.
You know what I mean?
He did. It's amazing. Like, this fight has to go down in the history books as one of the greatest performances of all time, because when you have maybe you can attest to this, or maybe you can counter this. I don't think there's ever been a fight at that magnitude where the public says these two guys are pound for pound top guys, and it was a total domination like that.
I've been saying that same
I don't
thing
think in the history of boxing that's ever happened. Like,
I've been saying that.
So now, 20 years from now, we'll look back and we'll say, wait a minute, this right-handed fighter who learned how to fight southpaw said to myself, that guy hasn't fought a southpaw. He's a southpaw. I'm going to fight him southpaw the whole fight. There is no fighter ever who can do stuff like that. That is crazy. When I first saw Bud, I said, this dude might be better than Floyd. And I love Floyd,
I was saying the same thing. This is the biggest, it ended up to be the most dominant victory from a fight that was supposed to be so 50-50. I came up with two, possibly. Tyson versus Lennox Lewis was not supposed to be that much of a one-sided fight, and that was a mega fight. And De La Hoya versus Pacquiao, if you remember, I think De La Hoya was actually favored. But
this is the thing, though. Those are beautiful, beautiful points. They're just not pound for pound guys at the time. You know what I'm saying? So De La Hoya was nowhere close to the pound for pound list at that time.
Pacquiao. Yeah, you're
No,
right. Both weren't.
Pacquiao was.
That's right.
Pacquiao was.
Yeah.
But because De La Hoya had a good history, and he was bigger, even myself thought he was going to win. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, Pacquiao's looking great, but he's small. And De La Hoya is just too big for the guy. That's what I thought. And then who'd you also say? You said Lennox and Tyson. By that time, Tyson was nowhere near one of the best fighters in the world.
Yeah.
But it was just a huge fight where you got two different networks, HBO and Showtime, showing the fight. So it was huge. Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
somebody also, pound for pound in prime guys, undefeated, that has never happened before.
I got one, possibly. Floyd versus Corrales. Those were both pound for pounders, undefeated, and Floyd put a vicious whooping on him.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Not bad, right? Not bad.
That's not bad. That's not bad. It probably wasn't like to the magnitude of these two as far as what they've already proved, but that's very, very good anyway. It's very, very good anyway.
Yeah, that one was. I was saying the same thing you've been saying. I was like, I've never, because that was the biggest surprise, I think, to all of us. Like, did you think it would be that easy for Terrence?
No, of course not. Of course not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought it could have been possible for him to stop Spence because I just know how strong Bud is. I knew he was going to surprise everyone with his strength. I've wrestled the guy before. I know how strong he is. He's strong for a very small guy. But I didn't think he'd be able to drop him second round and just, totally dominate the fight and win every round. No, I didn't think that.
No, I know, man. Me neither.
I still hold,
and it's exciting.
Hold Spence in high regard,
Right, and it's exciting. It's exciting, and it's interesting to see what's going to happen. So shifting gears a little bit, who do you think is the most? Who do you think, if they did a round robin tournament of all the 35 and 40 pounders, Shakur, Tank, Haney, Teofimo, who do you think would come out victorious if they all fought each other in a tournament?
I can't answer. I can't answer that definitively. I'm not one to make predictions. I respect these guys. I could tell you that there's 3 guys that are very, very special. No, 4 guys that are special. Listen, I respect these guys too. Yo, every time I say a number, I keep thinking of another fighter. All I can say is that we are in probably, people hate when I say this, but we're in the best era of boxing so far. 20 years from now, we'll look back and we'll say, damn, there was that many great fighters at the same time. We'll say that later. Right now, our mind is so fixated on the past so much. Like, Michael Jordan is the best ever. I agree. But that doesn't mean that these guys here aren't great. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like you got Teofimo is special.
I agree.
Corey Stevenson, special. Gervonta Davis, even though I want him to fight bigger competition, better competition, he's special. You know what I'm saying? Devin Haney, like special. Like these guys, this is an incredible era. And even Loma's still there. You know what I mean? Loma's still there. That fight with him and Haney was a neck and neck fight. Like people say robbery, but it was a close fight. Fine. If you think Loma won, okay, great. But that, to me, that also said Devin's good.
And the crazy thing about that, people don't realize, so you got those guys, but then you got these young dudes, Frank Martin, Keyshawn Davis, Shushu Carrington. You got all these guys ready to jump in.
Shushu, oh my gosh, Bruce Carrington, Keyshawn Davis, damn. Oh, especially Frank Martin. He looks good. I don't know how good he is yet, but he looks like he got the goods.
His last fight,
But I'm not going to fall off the train because of one not so great performance. But at the end of the day, he looks like he has the goods. I want to see him step it up as well.
You know who's and I've interviewed him before, cool dude, very, very eye-catching when I watch him, is Floyd Schofield, Kid Austin.
Yeah, he's nice.
When I watch his hands, I'm like, reminds me of like David Reed a little bit of Roy. Fat.
Damn, you said fat boy. Yeah, his hands. He's another one that he has speed, kind of like Gamboa. You got speed. He might do some palm punches, but he still got pop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's pretty good. So, you know, he's a kid I'm keeping my eye on.
And I like the way he responded his last fight. He got sliced open, and he just was. And those
Yeah,
headbutts
yeah,
that takes a lot out of you. So
right.
the way he reacted was pretty good.
You gotta have some savagery in you. You gotta
Yeah,
have some dog in you, or you ain't gonna make it to that elite
you
status.
absolutely
Because
do.
you're gonna get cut. Look at Floyd. Floyd probably almost went his whole career without getting cut. You know what I mean? And then when he got cut, he didn't panic. And when he gets headbutt, he didn't panic. When he got hurt by Sugar Shane Mosley, he didn't. It's amazing. He gets rocked by Sugar Shane Mosley, and he caught his arm. You understand what kind of mind you must have to catch a man's arm
Hold
after the
him. Yeah.
punch?
Yeah.
That to me, that's incredible. You're not used to getting hurt. You never really got hurt like that ever, and you had the wherewithal in that moment to catch his arm.
So many more fighters should hold when they get hurt.
Yeah,
Just right at that moment, and they don't.
right. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's crazy. It's
Who
crazy.
who who cut Floyd? I don't remember who cut him.
I think Floyd got cut in it later on. One of his last fights, I believe. He got. I know he got a bloody nose by Cotto,
Right.
but I believe he got cut later on. I could be wrong, but maybe the bloody nose was the only time he was bleeding. But before that camp, he was training to fight close quarters. Right before he went to jail, and he was like, the fans are saying that I'm not exciting enough. So, and I seen him sparring in the gym. I was in the gym when he was in camp, and he was fighting big guys. So you talking about guys like J. Leon Love. I seen J. Leon Love bloody up Floyd's nose.
Yeah.
Like
That's a big
yeah,
dude.
right before that fight with Cotto. So he was already prone to get a bloody nose, and it happened. But that jab, you got that Philly shell. You got to fight a jab, and you still can get hit. Cotto just had that. He had his chin tucked really low, so you're not going to hit him with that right hand and duck under the straight right. So Floyd had to do the overhand right, and that jab was just catching Floyd, just catching him.
Yeah. No, I was more of a fan of Pretty Boy Floyd. Money Mayweather was a little too conservative for me in the ring. You know what I mean?
Right.
But Pretty Boy was ridiculous. Everything about him.
I love Money Mayweather because his mind was so beautiful, and his reaction time was so beautiful. Like his defense was just impeccable. But when you love a fighter, it's hard to see him in a negative way. So when you take yourself out of that and you really look at it, you can say, okay, I see why people say he's boring.
Right. Right.
But during the time, no. During the time, I was like looking at mastery.
Right.
I was looking at mastery during the time. But I can see. I'm not a fool. I can see why people would say that about him. 100%.
All right. I mean, my favorite, my one is Roy Jones. I mean,
yeah, my that was the Tyson era. I was loving him and Tyson. But once Floyd came, I was. You know what I love about Floyd? Have you ever seen Floyd tired?
no.
Name any of your greatest fighters. You've seen them tired. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not Roy in his prime. You know what I'm saying?
Never.
But that's the thing, though. Floyd, out of his prime, still was never tired. Still didn't get beat up. That's just. Go ahead.
No. That's one thing. Like I learned this myself from fighting. Like once you get your late 20s, early 30s, you start learning little tricks in there to conserve energy,
Right.
to not get tired. Little things like not backing up. Because believe it or not, when there's somebody, when you're in there with an opponent who's constantly pressuring you, that'll psychologically make you tired. And it's learning how to like not let shit like that affect you. Yeah. So Floyd picked up all of those mental
Floyd
tricks.
was so smart. Like he just became a very, very smart fighter. That's why I love Money May a little bit better. Canelo versus Triple G, the first fight. Canelo gassed out 5th round just from moving, just from backing up. Like This guy is all over me. God, dog, you know how discouraging that is? When you hitting
Yeah,
somebody hard as hell, and you usually the guy that's pressuring everybody else, and now you're backing up, you
I've been
know?
there. Yep, I know.
So he got tired. He got tired, and that's why people feel like, Canelo lost
I
that
thought he
fight.
lost that, but I thought he won the rematch.
Yeah, he definitely won the rematch, but Triple G jab kept him in the fight. You know what I'm saying? Triple G, it just showed that he's a skillful fighter. His jab kept that fight close, put it
And
that way.
I won't,
You know what I mean?
I
But
won't
he lost
front,
that fight.
but I thought Floyd lost the first Castillo fight, and I
Yeah,
never.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a biggest Floyd fan, but when I went back and watched it again, I was like,
Right?
you can't
Close.
win a fight with a jab.
Now,
You
apparently,
know,
though, I heard that his hand was broken in that fight,
his shoulder too. He had an issue with his shoulder. He had
and
an issue with his,
I believe
huh?
it. I believe it because a lot of people make
100%.
excuses, but he looked so good in the rematch. It's like, okay,
And then you go right back and you beat the guy easy. Obviously, there was an issue. He
right,
didn't, obviously there was an issue.
right,
And with Floyd before that was fast, moving, counter punching so nice, hitting you before you punch him, he punching nice in the mix. Like, come on. And then this guy's just going to come and be able to beat him?
right,
No,
right.
there was an issue. But
Absolutely.
I feel like, if they would have gave it to him, that probably would have been a little bit more fair. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
You
right,
know,
right.
giving it to
Um,
Castillo.
what are your impressions of the fight tomorrow in Saudi Arabia? Fury versus Ngannou.
Well, I think it's going to be a close fight. It's going to be a tough man.
Ah,
Please, what the heck?
I was like, what?
Who the heck cares? We only care because there's something wrong with us. You know what I'm saying? Guys like me and you, we care because we got screws loose. You know what I'm saying? We've been hit in the head. You know what I'm saying? We're a little strange anyway. We like violence, so if we see two grandmas fighting, we might watch it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it really means nothing. I like to see competitive fights. I like at least fights that are competitive on paper.
Right,
Um, this only has a little bit of intrigue because, you know, Ngannou's a fighter. You know, he's a fighter, but there's a difference. Yo, when I was fighting in karate tournaments, people used to think I was a boxer.
hmm,
Because I studied boxing. You know what I'm saying? I studied boxing. I trained. You know what I mean? And I realized that a, a, I used to be told this by my sensei since I was like 3 years old. He used to say, a good boxer would beat a great boxer would beat a great martial artist. I hated to hear it, but it's stuck in my head. It's stuck in my head. That's not always the case. It's an individual thing. A great fighter beats it. It doesn't matter what art is. If you're better, you win.
right,
That's it. But because that doesn't make sense, you can't have two people who's exactly equal.
right,
That doesn't make sense. But you can say usually, maybe you can say that. And the reason why I've always been taught that is because hands are faster than feet. You know what I'm saying? And it's closer to the target. So wow, I always made sure my hands were good. You know what I mean? It's just that for some reason I could beat a lot of people with my hands in karate, but karate didn't respect hand skills as
right,
much. So I had to kick somebody in the face as opposed to punching them in the face.
right,
You know what I'm saying? They respected kicks mostly.
right.
You know what I mean? But I tear dudes up with my hands because karate guys, MMA guys, I don't know, they don't have that great set, that great skill set when it comes to that stand up game.
Right. No, they don't. They don't.
But
Which is why.
rightfully so, because you also have to worry about kick. You know what I'm saying? You also have to worry about somebody shooting for you. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Right.
if you got your hands up tight like that and somebody's shooting for you, that split second right there, boom. You know what I mean? So I get it. I get it. But boxing is just different. Boxing is different.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because if I'm not mistaken, Usyk and Fury have signed for December 23rd, right?
I don't know the date they said that, but yes, yeah, they have.
Which is, here's my issue with the fight tomorrow. If for some reason, some crazy miracle in heaven, Fury loses, How
It can happen.
how bad will that make boxing look?
It depends on how it happens. Let's say if it's a punch and 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 there's nothing wrong with Tyson at all. He just got clipped. It does make it's a black eye to boxing. It's a
Ah,
black eye to, but because they're big guys, at the end of the day, we can always fall back on they're big guys. One punch can end the fight, and then you can call out a lucky punch. That's what people are going to call that. They're going to call out a lucky punch, you know. And also, Ngannou's first love was boxing, you know.
right.
But that doesn't matter when you got a skillful boxer who grew up his whole life like Tyson Fury boxing. It'll be a black eye, but at the end of the day, Tyson is still the champion.
Would
And
would that be a bigger upset than Tyson Douglas?
to me, it's not a real. It wouldn't be a real upset because there's always room for um, someone to say Tyson didn't take him seriously.
True.
Tyson didn't train hard. There's always room for an excuse. That's why I don't like fights like that, where there's room for excuses. You know what I mean? I would want to give Ngannou the credit. Fine, you beat the guy. That's it. There's no excuses. But there's room for fans to make excuses when he's fighting a guy that should not win at all.
Right.
So that's what. So I can't really put that in that boat.
Right.
You know what I mean? I really can't put that in that boat. But I don't know. Tyson was so dominant at that time. I'm talking about Mike Tyson, that is.
But
Mike
so is
Tyson
Fury.
was so dominant. Huh?
So is Fury. Ever since Sugar Hill came in, he's knocked everybody out.
That's a good point too. I was going to definitely go to that as well. That's just a great question. I don't know. Maybe fans will see it that way, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say Tyson really is taking this guy as serious as he's going to take Usyk.
Right. Well, and I think Tyson beats Usyk, probably stops him. What do you think?
I don't know. I
The
really
body.
don't know. I think he's worried about it. I think he's worried about the fight. I think in his mind he's thinking about USS Cunningham when he dropped him, being a left-handed, smaller, better boxer than he is, and he's thinking, here I am going in again with this left-handed, smaller guy who's a better boxer than me.
Yeah.
He's like, how can I be better than a guy who's so small?
Right.
And I think that's probably on his mind, but the new Tyson is different. This new Tyson Fury is different. And he's so heavy-handed.
Yeah.
Mixed with the skill he already had. Oh my God. I
And
don't see how anybody could beat him.
how he uses his size. I always tell people that I don't think size matters unless you know how to use it. And Tyson knows
That's
how
it.
to use it.
Here you go. I'm sick of saying size doesn't matter. Size matters when you're great.
Right.
Like you see these bouncers at clubs, probably 90% of them, I'll knock them out because they have only size.
Right.
They're not skillful fighters. You know what I'm saying? So size doesn't matter when you're great and you're smaller.
Right. Right.
Size matters when you know how to use it, like you say, 100%.
Yeah.
Size
Yeah. And Tyson
is an advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. Tyson is so big and he leans on you, and Usyk's body is clearly vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
thought that last fight against Dubois, I don't know if it'd be a knockout but it was definitely a knockdown. It should have been. I thought that was a legal punch.
Yeah, he looked hurt. First of all,
He
when you get
looked.
hit in the nuts, I got hit in the nuts a lot throughout my career
That's not a
fighting.
nut punch. Yeah, you don't react that way when you get hit in the nuts.
There you go. There you
That
go,
was
Mark.
a
There you
classic
go.
body shot reaction.
That I've got hit in the nuts so much. I've had surgery on my nuts
Ooh.
because I've been hit so much because I didn't wear a cup. I was just nuts.
Damn.
I was like a cup restricts me.
Right.
Someone kicks too. You know what I'm saying? You're throwing kicks too. So I would have been stupid of me, but I didn't wear a cup. And after a while, you can actually become immune to anything. Like I would get hit in the nuts and I still fight. There's nothing.
It wouldn't hurt.
No, it would not hurt. You know what I
Wow.
mean? So you can train any part of your body. The body is amazing, you know, until, you know, I took too much and I had surgery, you know. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so the way he reacted is like when you get hit in the stomach and it just hurts so bad.
Yeah, he couldn't
You get
breathe. His
hit in the pelvis
hand
and
was shaking.
yeah, it just hurts so bad. I know that pain, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And who's to say he wouldn't have gotten up? It looked like he probably wouldn't have, but who's to say? You know?
Exactly, because he, if right. So, but I think at bare minimum, it should have been a knockdown. I don't, but yeah, you're right. It didn't look like he could get up.
Yeah, you remember when Amir Khan hit Marcus Maidana,
Yeah,
Marcos Maidana, in
yeah,
like 2010 or something like that? He dropped him. Man, that thing hurt so bad. He was like a baby in a fetal position. But since that ref was counting, he got up. He
right.
got up. It was killing him, and he was holding that side like, I don't want to get hit until he regained his composure. You know, so maybe we could have seen Usyk do that, but it didn't look like it.
No,
And understand something. When you're hurt like that, it's going to take a couple of seconds for you to even see if the referee is counting.
true, true.
You know,
Yeah,
so
he looked incapacitated for I want to say at least a minute, at least.
yeah,
Or
he was
two.
bad. He was bad. I've never seen nut shots. No, not like nut shot is not like that.
Plus, this was around his belly button. That's nowhere near your nuts.
Yeah, see, his trunks covered his belly button.
Right.
People say belt line. People don't know first of all, people don't know what the belt line is. The belt line has nothing to do with your trunks.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to do with your trunks. It's an imaginary line that starts at your hip bone. Your hip bone is below your belly button. That's the belt line. So your belly button can be here, and your hip line can be here. That's your belt line. So you got this much space. Some people is longer, some people is shorter, but you're gonna have at least an inch. So he got hit on the buckle of the cup, the top of the cup. Now, if your belly button is here and your shorts are here, you know what I mean, and you get hit right here, it's still legal. You know
No, that was
what I'm
legal.
saying? So, but in this crazy sport, you know, ref says something, it's law. I don't like that. I think we should implement instant replay all the time.
Absolutely.
But it is what it is.
Absolutely. And there should be a second official that can overrule a bad call.
Yes, I can't stand that the ref has ultimate power.
It's crazy.
I don't like that.
And there's no accountability afterwards. Let's say
No.
like when Rolly's fight got stopped against Barroso.
Oh my God.
How is that? How can nobody be held accountable for that? Nobody.
That's because there's no one governing body. You know, there's no one governing body. But that's not an excuse, because the commission alone is the governing body that night.
Of that
they
state.
should say something. That right there is insane. But you know what it is? You know the reason why? Instant replay is not implemented because the commission is not at fault if they can't see what's going on.
Right. There should be some kind of a appeal process. I mean, when was the last time you've ever seen any professional fight besides steroids be overturned afterwards? For anything besides steroids.
In present day, it doesn't happen.
No, but it should. Like that fight should have been ruled a no contest.
In present day, it doesn't happen. It has to be some kind of drugs.
Right.
It has to be some kind of drug test.
Right.
But it should. In fights like that, it should.
Yeah.
They should go look back at the tape and say, even if you don't want to implement instant replay in the moment, which is smart to do, so the right man can win or at least have a chance to win.
Right.
But even if you don't, at least appeal process should be a little bit more fair.
Yeah.
Where you look and see that the man didn't land a punch and they stopped the fight.
He didn't land one punch.
Referees are not perfect. They make mistakes. But what I don't like is that there's sometimes when a referee can make a bad, blatant mistake, and then we're looking at it in the replay, and here comes Jim Gray talking to you or whoever, And then the referee is looking at it like, no, sorry. That happened recently. I don't want to shout out the referee. He's actually a family member of a friend of mine. But and he's looking at it like, no, no, I'm sorry, no. Meanwhile, stop it, bro. It is what
Yeah.
it is. Like
No, I
that
know.
was a bad call.
And I'm not into conspiracy theories at all, but that kind of shit makes you really wonder, like, why would he stop that fight? Like the Barroso one specifically, like,
Yeah,
what,
yeah. And who
you know
was
what I'm
that? That
saying?
was Tony Weeks,
That
I think.
was, and Weeks is a pretty good ref. And funny, he refused to be interviewed after that, and so did the athletic commission. I think they were in Nevada. Both of them refused to be interviewed.
Well, that's nothing new. You're not even supposed to do interviews as a referee. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You're not supposed to do interviews as a referee. There's no referee that does interviews. So back in Mills Lane's days, you know what I'm saying? Young Mills Lane, maybe you would see an interview. You're talking about 70s, 80s, early 80s. You'll see Mill Lane say, "Yep, I called it that. It was a shot. No, and that's it. That's the end of the fight, and that's it." You know, but nowadays, no, you can't interview a ref. You can't.
Yeah. Also, let's before we wrap it up, I want to ask you about the light heavyweights because we have two amazing fighters. One who's undefeated, both undefeated, but one is all knockouts, Better BF. And then you got Bivol. And I don't really think there's any other fight to make it light heavyweight besides Bivol versus Better BF, right?
No, there's no other fight. That's fight is long overdue. That's
Right,
ridiculous. Ridiculous that they haven't fought. Yeah,
right,
that's
right, right.
totally ridiculous. Even with Bivol is like Bivol's a real fighter, bro. He's a real fighter. And I told Eddie Hearn years ago, I said, Eddie, keep Canelo away from Bivol. Canelo's crazy. He's gonna want to go in there and fight Bivol. Keep him away. Let him fight Better Biev, not Bivol. Not to say that Better Biev can't possibly beat Canelo. I'm just saying he's there to get hit. So
Right.
Canelo might hurt Better Biev and might win, but you're not hitting Bivol. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You're just not gonna. He's not there to get hit. His
So
feet are too good.
you
He's
would
too
give
tall.
you would give Bivol the edge over Better BF if they fought?
There you go, trying to get
Oh, right. You
predictions
don't
out
do
there
the you don't
again.
do the
But
prediction. All right.
Better Biev is the best fighter in that division.
Better BF is
That's no. I meant to say Bivol.
Bivol.
I say Bivol is the best fighter in that
I've
division and
just heard
one of the
some.
best fighters in the world.
I've just heard some.
I've seen Better Biev outboxed. Put it that way. I've seen him outboxed, and if you can be outboxed, then if Bivol outbox you, you might not ever get a chance to land a big shot on him.
I've just heard some crazy stories from his trainer, from people sparred with Better BF, that he has this Ivan Drago crazy superhuman strength.
Mm. Probably do, but I've seen him get outboxed.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. It don't matter how hard you hit, you can get outboxed
You
for
can.
12 rounds, 36 minutes. You can get outboxed. Have you? I believe Russians train very hard.
Oh yeah.
Bivol trains very hard.
Yeah.
He comes in prepared and ready. He was able to land those shots on Canelo. He would land a 1-2 and 1 to hit. Say, "Oh, Canelo, after my 1-2, I know you could take it, but when you come in after the 1-2, boop, you get another 1, and I'm backing up."
Yep.
He's hard to beat, bro. He's hard to
And
beat.
the great thing about that is eventually, probably in the near future, Benavidez is going to be in the mix with all those guys because he's going to move up.
That's nice. Now that's a nice fight. Benavidez and Bivol is a nice fight. Two guys. Benavidez might be a half an inch taller. Hands is fast. They're both big guys. I like that fight.
Better BF
I
too.
can't wait till Better BF fights. One of these top guys.
Mm-hmm.
I really can't wait. I really can't wait to see an undisputed fight at that weight class would be great. I mean, he's fighting Callum Smith, so
Right.
so
Right.
that's cool. That's cool. You never know. You never know. That's a good fight. But Better
Yeah.
BF is, he's like you said, he's a beast.
Yeah. No, he isn't. I mean, I love Benavidez personally. I really.
Right.
I don't know how he'll do at 175. But at 68, I don't think anybody beats him.
Yeah, he's tough. He's tough. He's tough to beat, man. That guy, he's smarter than what people think.
Yes.
Probably, he's smarter
Yeah.
than what people would think. He actually is a smart fighter. He
Very.
knows how to box. He knows how to set people up. He doesn't just he's just famous for throwing those barrage of punches when somebody's hurt or whatever, and his hands are faster than probably everybody in the division, you know. But that's not his game, you know.
No. And
That's not just his game. So I kind of think he gets a bad rap for that,
I
so to speak, you know,
I've been saying the
because
same shit.
they don't know how good he is. People don't understand how good Benavidez really is.
And I think he has way better defense than he gets credit for.
Right,
I do.
right.
I saw it with Plant. I saw some head movement. I saw, I've seen, and the best way for people watching, watch sparring of your favorite fighters. When you see them sparring, like that's when I knew, or I thought Inoue would beat Fulton. I saw Inoue sparring, and I'm like, he doesn't just walk forward, throw hard punches. Like this dude counters, and he had a full package going on. Pause. You know what I mean? So like,
In
uh,
a way, Inoue is one of the best fighters of all time.
he might be.
Of all time, like
He might be.
that guy's Manny Pacquiao with traditional skills.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Manny Pacquiao had special speed and power and pop and stuff like that, but he didn't have traditional skills. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have traditional skills. In a way, is the truth. That kid is
Let's hope
who beats Inoue? Who the heck beats Inoue?
Right.
It's gonna take. You're gonna have to go out your weight class. He's gonna have to go to a weight class where he just does not belong, and that's it.
And that's the problem because people are going to say, well, who'd he beat? Like, even if he retires undefeated,
Right.
who'd he beat? Because
He
the
beat
weight class is
best fighters in their divisions.
right. He beat.
You know what I'm saying? And some people had Stephen Fulton on a pound for pound list, and who was a two-time champion, two belt champ, and he stopped him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I've been new in a way, and sometimes a fighter don't have to necessarily fight the best for you to see what they have. You know what I mean?
Right.
A fighter that goes in there all the time and takes every fight seriously, no matter the level of the fighter, it is special.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I've been saw Inoue skills. Now, don't get me wrong, you do have to fight great fighters in order to really prove yourself. But guys like Gervonta Davis, you knew he was good. You knew from the beginning he was good. Floyd Mayweather, everybody knew he was good.
Yeah.
Before he fought Gennaro Hernandez or anybody like. Everybody
Right.
knew he was good.
There's certain things that the eyeball test tells you.
Yes, already. Shakur Stevenson. Look, back in the days, guys like Shakur Stevenson wouldn't be on the pound for pound list so fast. Back in the days.
Right.
You really, really had to prove yourself.
Right.
Spence got on the pound for pound list. Not the pound for pound list, but Spence got more recognition than guys of back in the days. You know what I'm saying? So fast. They gave Spence recognition so fast and was like, he's great before he fought anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So the eye test wasn't as important back in the day.
Right.
You know, you had to really get in there and fight somebody.
Yeah.
Now it's like people are saying, oh, Shakur Stevenson, we can see when he was very young, they was like, oh, yeah, he's going to be great. He's great. Spence, they was like, oh, he's great. 2014, 15, they was like, Spence, he's great. Spence, he's great. I mean, he's 3 years in. Didn't fight nobody yet.
Yeah, there's something in boxing where I feel like fans are always looking to find that one in a billion fighter in their era to be like, I was around when this guy fought.
That's a good point. And that's probably why. Not to say that I don't that I mind it. I don't care. You know, because I'm all for the eye test. You know what I'm saying? I'm all for the eye test. But let's just keep our parameters consistent.
Right.
That's all I say. Keep the parameters consistent, because in reality, nowadays the pound for pound is different than it was back in the days.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Pound for pound back in the days wasn't necessarily about achievements. You know what I'm saying? It was really about your skill set and how bad you beat your opponent.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How good you were, how bad you beat your opponent. You jumped up in weight. You beat that guy too. You beat the, you know, But so nowadays it's like people are putting somebody on the pound for pound list because you became undisputed.
Or
You know?
because you sell a lot of tickets.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't want to be so quick, but if that's the new way to do it, fine. Let's be consistent now.
Yeah, I mean, pound for pound, an all-time great is it's everybody has a different criteria for it, I feel like. And that's why I don't like getting into that because like my criteria is probably different than yours and
Mhm.
so on and so forth. So
Yeah, that's why when I said anyway, you was like in your head, you was like, "Oh, you're too fast,
right,
bro.
right. To
You're
say
too fast, bro." You
yeah,
know,
to say he's
I'm
an
calling
all-time
him.
great.
I
Yeah.
already, I already marked him years ago with the eye test, and I said, "Oh my God, this dude is better than Pacquiao." That's what I said years ago, and then he's just proven me right
Right.
every single time. So
Right.
that's why I'm quicker to say he's going to be one of the best fighters of all time.
Right, and you might be right. For me,
Yeah,
I do a lot of polls on my YouTube channel, like who do you think was the greatest, blah blah blah, and then a lot of people put in current fighters, and I always respond being like, I don't apply current fighters because we don't know what's going to happen in their career.
yeah,
We're talking, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like you don't know which way it's going to
That's
turn.
true. That's why when you asked me about, my favorite fighter, whatever you asked me in the beginning, I said, well, right now it's Floyd, but I think eventually it'll be Crawford.
Crawford,
But we'll see.
it might be, it might
Right.
be. Yeah, man. Look, man, I appreciate you talking to me. And let's do it again soon.
My pleasure, man. Take
All right,
care.
my man. Peace.
All
Thank
right,
you.
brother.